welcome to the Chronic Health Collective. This is not just a community, this is your fresh start. We've gathered all the best coaches and experts to help you reclaim your energy, heal from the inside out, and live with purpose. Whether you're longing for more energy, deeper healing in your relationships, or a life that feels more aligned and fulfilling, you are not alone anymore. Today, I am joined by my friend, life and dating coach, Leandra Frey. Welcome, Leandra. Thanks for joining me today.
Glad to be here.
And our topic is dating after narcissism.
A rare topic.
Yes, I've been having lots of conversations with people talking about, kind of this sense of, I just don't want anything to do with it anymore. I'm just not going to do it because I keep, and they get out of something and then they find they keep attracting this type. So,
it's a true story.
And I'm Kristy Boyd Johnson. I have the Narc Detox Club, and I'm going to put myself on the hot seat with Leandra a little bit. So fix me. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Well, I love that you're open to some possibilities. So it's fair.
So, Leandra, what do you think happens in our minds when we come out of a highly toxic relationship with someone who is either a narcissist or extremely narcissistic?
I have a lot. I have a lot of ideas around there, and there's a lot of research around, narcissist and like what that means and what does it mean for us. So the first thing is a narcissist cannot exist without someone that has boundaries. So that's probably the first thing. And most people don't like to hear that because usually when we come out of a relationship, we're with a narcissistic. So as I say this to you, obviously it's like, wait, but I thought I had all these things. So, but it's a codependent relationship. A narcissist cannot exist without the other. So that's probably the first thing is understanding when a narcissist usually is making demands, right? They're making requests, and eventually they don't show themselves at the beginning of any relationship, right? They're just existing as two people that are just glad to be together. They start off with the right intentions. It's not like they're actively looking for someone that is like, has no boundaries and is super compliant. That's not their intention either. It just forms itself depending on who the person that they have attracted, right? Now, normally, someone that doesn't have boundaries tends to attract narcissists, right? So if they don't know how to say no, they're going to, then someone doesn't have to show up and be a certain way, right? So then a narcissist is going to gradually be attracted to them, but it doesn't show up immediately, right? But as a dating coach, we can help spot some things that will eliminate some of that doubt. So that's probably the first step is understanding what your boundaries are, and then understanding that narcissists, it's not like they grew up and all of a sudden we're like, I'm a narcissist and I'm out to get you. No. Usually that's how they're painted. It's like they're all like painted this terrible person and that there's no way out of it. But it depends on who they're with, right? And do they want to change, right? So I think at all some level we have narcissistic tendencies. Most of us do, especially in this world where everything is about self, right? We have, our social media, everything is about how we look, how we show up, looking good. So there's a natural tendency for it to go that way because technically we need to be raised thinking about the other, and what I mean by the other people. Mm-hmm. We try to think of that, but a lot of us just stay at 13 years old where we're just like me. And social media and the world that we live in has not given us a lot of leeway to think about what we can do for others. That's an active, what do you want to call it?
choice.
Yeah, that's an active choice. It's a skill. It's actually a life skill, right? Think about our 13-year-olds or even when we were 13, what were we doing? All we were doing was sitting in front of the mirror, like trying to fix our hair. And like, as I'm thinking about my hair today, right? Especially females, we're like thinking like, will this hair, my makeup, like, will it attract the same person? Right. It's all about like if you've ever had a teenager in the house, especially when they're 13, especially girls, like, oh my gosh. Well, sometimes they don't come out of that, right? So we have a lot of females that are narcissistic. We don't talk about them, by the way. We hear a lot about the men, but there's a lot of females
Oh yeah,
narcissistic. A lot of that is because we just didn't get taught how to come out of that, right? And we just stay in victim mode. And a lot of with females, it shows up as victim mode. With males, it's just, a lot of things are out of control. So we just try to figure out like, how can we control it? And so that means controlling other people. And that's where narcissism comes. And it's because we haven't been taught or known the skills. So a lot of times we have to go to someone's childhood and look at it. But how do we protect ourselves? Your question is like, okay, how do we come out of that we don't repeat that?
Well, it is valid to start with, if you've come out, and we're just kind of generally, because you're a dating coach, we're talking about those kinds of relationships as opposed to where maybe parents or siblings or friends who are narcs or coworkers. But this is more for relationships.
Yeah.
The personal romantic type of relationships.
Yeah.
But coming out, it's easy. So it's easy to knee-jerk react to the first red flag. So, typically a narc will love bomb you at the beginning. And I've been subjected to this, and they call it, you were sweet. I'm going to sweep you off your feet. And, oh, you're so wonderful.
Yeah.
And it's like, of course it feels good, but it's fake.
Yeah.
Because how can you know someone in the first hour or two of knowing them? You can't. Yeah. So that is a red flag.
Yeah.
But what I guess the thing is that how can you kind of, if you set a boundary and you say, hey, you can't possibly know that I'm the love of your life. We've just had one dinner. And then do we kind of look for a reaction to that? Like, how do they react?
You can and here's where, I have two, there's so many great favorite books to this is, that's such a great example of love bombing is, okay. So we tend to so one of the latest books that I've read is by Matthew Hussey, Love Life. And he is one of the renowned dating coaches on YouTube. He's been around for 15, 16 years. His longevity is huge. And he wrote a book back then, 2010, which was life changing. For me, I read it. And then he wrote a book recently, 16 years later, with all his more experience. And one of the things he says about red flags, especially when we're coming out of heartbreak, whether it's a divorce or regular relationship, is we want to red flag everything. Everyone has a red flag, right? Including yourself, right? I got a lot of red flags. My red flag is I'm pretty demanding, right? I lean more closer to being a narcissist, right? Someone has to keep me in check on that one. Thankfully, I've married someone that does not give in to my crazy antics. I'm grateful for that. But it's interesting that I can see it when someone else is doing it. And I'm like, oh my gosh. But anyway, so he does say about the red flag. So we got to be cautious of not just overindulging in our safety, right? Where it's okay, so then this is where you get to play boundaries. And so in this case, okay, so someone is love bombing you and says, I'm going to sweep you off your feet. You're a target, right? Can I get her, to bed, to fall in love with me, whatever, all those things, right? And it's a challenge, right? If you're a guy, it's exciting, right? It's a dance. If you think about it, it's a dance. Even for the female, we're oh, I wonder what he's going to do to, to get me to do the things that he wants me to do, right? It's a dance. And then you're also hoping to fall in love. Hopefully that's the challenge, is then you get to let them, okay, they want to love bomb you, fine. But that doesn't mean you have to believe it, right? What
Ah.
you said, which was great. You were like, yeah, I don't have to fall for that. I get to enjoy maybe the attention and be like, all right. Then you get to say, let's see what you're made of, right? And that comes from a place of power, right? Versus like, oh no, I got someone love bombing. Oh my gosh, she's going to be a narcissist.
Oh, that's a nice shift. That's a nice shift out of fear and into let's explore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And then we get to see, okay, let's see what this guy is made of. Right. And we used to play that a long time ago. Like, and unfortunately it shows up wrong now in old movies where you get to see guys pursuing a girl, not learning to say, not learning to take no for an answer, but there is a middle ground, right? Where like, okay, so he says, I'm going to sweep you off your feet. Okay, great. Then plan the next date. Where are you going to take me? But you staying grounded in who you are, right? People, I think women start losing themselves where then we want to give all our power away to like, oh, maybe adding more meaning to a trip, or like, he got me a really nice purse, especially if someone has money, like, oh, he did all this. It's still like, he still has a long way to prove themselves, right? And so do you. You also are proving yourself to be, and we kind of forget about that. But that's also the part of courtship, right? It's being courted. And sometimes we forget about that piece. Like someone could be giving us flowers or giving us compliments, and that's easy with texting, emojis, emails, social media, right? Like I get a lot of women that are like, well, he likes my post, right? I'm like, great. It means nothing.
Yes.
So that's also a form of love bombing, but it means nothing until you get to know who they are through a series of dates, experiences, how they act. And that's where you get to literally say, all right, let's see what this guy is up to. Right? Totally different space instead of being freaked out.
Yes. And also, you can say, hey, I'm going to enjoy this, but I'm not going to fall. One thing, Hollywood just makes it seem like you jump in the sack with someone and then you fall in love. And that is backwards. No. Don't do that.
Hollywood's got it all wrong.
Hollywood is, we won't get into that noise, but that's wrong. Don't do that. But it's, so if someone is, so the difference would be like at the end of the first date, if you're getting pressured to jump in the sack, and you say no, and there's any kind of negativity or violence or whatever, then that's a hardcore red flag.
Yeah, that's like someone not doing consent, right? Like someone says no. I mean, a lot of times we go in with those thoughts, right? We go in, oh my gosh, they're not going to respect my boundaries. I mean, every now and then, like, because I work with women that do go on a lot of first dates, every now and then we'll get someone that is a little aggressive, right? Where you can tell that there's a setup that's happening. And there's forms in place, like there's things in place that you can do to protect yourself. And I'm not saying that they were going to get raped. I'm not saying that type of thing, but where they're put in a situation where they're not ready to go to bed with that person, right? Where it's like you drive separately to the place that you go to, so you don't put yourself where you're in a car alone with them. Maybe I say, we don't do that to a third or fourth date, maybe. And then for me, I recommend, hey, we're not sleeping with anyone until we're in a committed relationship, but I get adults are going to be adults.
Yeah.
But for some people that are looking for a long-term relationship and see what's tangible, then, like Hollywood preaching, oh, then we go to bed and then we fall in love, or Grey's Anatomy where she goes to bed with McDreamy. And I'm like, and then they fall in love and he's a married man. I'm like, what a terrible message.
It's so bad.
And I grew up with that messaging, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that show's been around for like 23 years or something like that. And I'm like, and I'm like, what kind of, and I was in my 20s when that happened. I'm like, terrible message.
Terrible. Yeah.
But as far as like someone doing something like that now, if we're in a situation where they're gonna not respect you, like, hey, I thought I paid for your dinner, you should be going to bed with me. That, I don't think that happens as often as it used to way back when. And like I said, every now and then I'll hear someone where, the guy was like hoping that they would get to go to bed with someone on a first date. And I was like, no, that's not. And of course, we're in the day of microwave, right? Fast food, look at Grubhub, DoorDash, everything is instant. So there is sometimes that thinking that does take place. But guess what? You can either be like, that guy's a jerk, or you can be like, oh yeah, I'm not up for sleeping on a first date. I must not be your person. Not a problem. I must not be your person. Yes. And that's okay. We move along.
And on that note, I can tell we're going to go deep in here, but right now we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with Leandra Frey right after this.
Hi, I am Leandra Frey. I am a life and dating coach. I help women that have gone through a divorce, widowhood, or if it's been a long time since they've been in a relationship, I help them get back on their feet, gain courage and confidence to get back into the dating world and find the love of their lives in 6 months or less. The reason I do this is, having been divorced myself, I have been out in the world, the dating world, what I would call the gauntlet. And it can be hard when you've come off a divorce, or you've come off a long time breakup, and you find yourself starting and stopping. And sometimes you stop and many years can go by. And so what I'm here to do and help you is to help you along the way so that you don't give up on yourself, and that we learn to create resilience in your dating so that you can keep going and not waste 5, 7, 12 years of your life thinking there's no one out there for you. There are many people out there for you. There is someone looking for you today. So that is why I do what I do, because I love bringing people together, because we are all created for love and connection.
When you look in the mirror, do you see skin that's just dry, tired, and stressed? It's time for a new ritual. Introducing Deep Love, the blue botanical face cream by Coolness. We've captured their tranquil essence of blue botanicals in a cloud-soft formula that deeply soothes irritation and restores your natural, healthy glow. This isn't just skincare, it's an act of self-care. It's Deep Love. Find your calm only at coolness.com. Scan the QR code now to visit our website.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Chronic Health Collective. I'm Kristy Boyd Johnson, and I'm here with Leandra Frey. I can talk. Leandra Frey. Sorry, Leandra. And we are talking about dating after narcissism. I love what you said right before the break of, it's okay to take a step back and say, I don't think you're my person. And also, I'm not your person. So, and just be okay with all that. I love that. That's very empowering. And
yeah, it's been really helpful. Because especially if you're on so this is if you're on the dating apps, right? There's a lot to go through before you get on a first date. And usually I tell women, right now we're not going to do the like, is he chasing me or doing this or whatever. We're just trying to help each other get onto the first date before we can go into the natural way of pursuing, right? Of a guy pursuing you. We got to get ourselves out of that unnatural state, because it's very unnatural, the dating apps. But here's one thing that happens on the dating apps is people will be going back and forth, and then one of the guys will say, send me a picture of you, something, right? And I'm like, okay. And the profiles already have pictures of you. Okay. So we know what we're looking. And immediately I'm like, okay, this, unless you're looking for a bed buddy, okay, great. Then these are your people. But for a long-term relationship, we already know this guy is not for you. Like, if that's their thing. So I don't even call it a red flag. I'm like, these people are just going to be, they just want to hook up immediately. And so usually, like, then we make no drama about you, right? Sometimes they're like, oh, these guys only see me as this. I'm like, there's guys out there that want that without all the work of, courting you, getting into a relationship. They're just looking for a fast fix. And there will always be men out there that are like that. And also women that are out there that are like that. I've heard both sides, right? Yeah. And so you just move along. You just say, oh, not for me. No, thank you. And then just move on to the next person, because there's plenty of people that are using the dating apps that aren't trying to look for love, right? And we have plenty of evidence of people that have met and fallen in love and gotten married and are still married and have kids that have been using dating apps since, 2000, right? Since Match has been out. And prior to that, we had the ads in the newspaper. So, like, it's been going on for a very long time.
Yeah, and the older you get, the harder it gets. I mean, the only people you meet are at work, kind of thing.
Yeah. So there is more work. I mean, the benefit of the apps is like you are finding like-minded people right away. It's faster, but you still have to go through a little bit of the process, even for older people. I mean, there's like, I think our time is one for people that are a little bit older, like in their 50s, 60s. That has been a really helpful dating app. They go through the same thing, eHarmony, and then even Hinge. Like, people are like, oh, that's for the young people. I'm like, no, you just set the dating parameters. One of my widows who is 65, she found the love of her life on Hinge. So like, all ages are on there. You just got to filter through some of the, some of the, the nonsense that happens that, people are just looking for a quick hookup, or they're just looking for entertainment. They just want a texting buddy. We got a lot of people that just want to text all day long. And I'm like, those aren't your people either. They're just looking for quick, entertainment. It's, because all these apps are designed for oxytocin, a quick dopamine fix. So you got to be aware of that. But I wanted to get back to your thought of narcissists, right? We were just talking about the first date. Usually a narcissist will not reveal himself until later, or herself, but it starts in the little things for you to test it. Again, you're like, okay, so he log bombs. You think, not a problem. We'll check it out. Let's see what happens, right? But it shows up like, if you don't want someone, let's say you're very, hey, we got them not sleeping together right away. But if you're like, I don't want someone at my house yet, right? Because you might have kids with you, or you're taking care of your mom, or you have grown kids with you. There's even that, right? We got a lot of boomerang kids that have come back from college. So we got a lot of that. And so a lot of times I'm going to be like, I'm not ready to have someone at my house, to entertain someone at my house. We're not even talking about sleeping together or anything. We're just talking about, like, we're not ready for that. So that's a natural boundary that you would put up, like, that you would just be like, no, I'd rather meet in person, or your other place, or whatever. But if they're like really insistent, like, no, I want to meet your mom, or I want to meet your thing. Even if someone is like requesting in a nice way, we just say no. Not a problem if they keep asking. You just still hold your ground. And a lot of people don't know what to do with someone that keeps asking. They're like, they're not respecting my boundaries. It's not about that. They can ask all they want. Again, people can love bomb and ask all they want. It's always what you'll do, right? So like, I remember as a kid, if we my parents were great at boundaries, by the way. Oh my gosh. They would do this thing like, if we asked again, right? You know how kids are really good at badgering their parents. Like,
oh, yes.
Right? My parents were like, if you ask more than once, like you ask us more than once, you're going to be grounded. But like, what up? And they were true to their word.
Mm-hmm.
If I asked more than once when they've already said no, I would get grounded. I mean, but they would honor their word right away. The problem that we do is we don't honor our word.
Right.
So the grounding wouldn't be the same. Like, it's not like we're going to go ground them. We might be like, hey, I don't like what you just said, or I've already asked you not to cuss, or I've already asked you not to discuss, you know, my weight, whatever it is that you made the request for. And, you know, it's still up to you to end the conversation. A lot of times we want them to keep doing the thing by the something that we're saying. It's always what we'll do or not do.
Yes.
Right. So, you know, and so that's the part that we have to really start understanding is people are going to keep asking and asking. And then you'll be like, he's wearing me down. I'm like, no one's wearing you down. Right. It's what you'll do. And I always remember that about my parents. They're like, you asked, we already said no. Or the big thing that they would do is, you know, the trick that you would ask. Well, mom said yes.
The triangulation. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Set mom against dad. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. If we ever did that, we were in big trouble. Like, big trouble. They were like united.
Yeah.
Our parents were super united in their parenting with us. And I was like, man, I was here, all my friends, they would get away with murder with, depending on the mood of their mom or their dad, go ask your dad. I'm like, I could never play that game.
Yeah.
But part of what made them great is because they stood on their word. Mm-hmm. And that's something that we also have to practice in our own relationship, is standing on our word. Mm-hmm. What are we going to do? What we say we're going to do, which is like, hey, I've already like, if someone drops you off the door and you don't want to sleep with them because you're not ready, you've already made that determination. But, you know, he's so cute. He says all the right things. He just had a nice dinner. He had 2 glasses of wine. You're like, okay. And then you go sleep with them. Now, he didn't break the boundary. You did.
Yes.
Right? And then we're like, but he said all these things and he just cajoled me and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, you're the one who didn't honor your word.
Right.
You don't have your back. Right. And so then now we're left with this thing that happened and we weren't ready. We weren't in a relationship yet with the guy. You know, we didn't have the full thing. And then that's where I see a lot of women get into trouble. And then they go, well, he didn't respect my boundaries. I'm like, honey, you didn't even set any boundaries.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I'll be a little bit nice about it, but I'm like, you know, we have to honor our word, and we have to do what we say we're going to do, whether it's like we need to, you know, leave in the middle of a date or make it awkward. You know, sometimes it's like awkward thing, like where someone shows up at our door and we're not ready. You know, I remember I had this one guy I was dating and he came up to my door. Now he didn't call, he didn't do anything. And I was like, we didn't have a date. I don't even remember. I remember how we had already gone on a couple of dates and it was like, okay, it wasn't anything, but I remember he wanted to come in and it was almost like a vampire. Right? Like, yeah, vampires have to be invited in. Yeah. Right. And I remember I was like, yeah, no, I'm not letting him in. Like, and he was really nice. And I was like, yeah, I remember thinking we didn't have an appointment. We didn't have a date. We weren't in that type of relationship. There was a couple of things like not appropriate. Right. Mm-hmm. And I just remember I was like, it was a Sunday night too. So it really meant I had nothing going on. Right. And this is where people get in trouble. They're like, well, it's Sunday. Like, I don't have anything going on. So yeah, sure. You can come over, whatever. We can watch the latest football game or whatever. And I just remember I was like, this is not like, no, this is my place. This is my place. And I remember I was like, yeah, call me. We can go out later, whatever. And he was like, okay, but it was very awkward. And I remember standing in front of my door and it was like a very narrow way, but it would have been real easy. Like he really expected, like by him coming over without a phone call, that he would just be able to come in and hang out with me on the couch and watch whatever. And I was like, no. I forgot, that memory just came, but I just remember I was like, but there's a lot of awkward moments like that. And
Mhm.
I think that was the last time I saw him, because I think he really had this expectation that he would just get to come and like do whatever he wanted. And I'm like, that's not where we're at. We're in the initial stages of dating. And I was like, that's, maybe you would get that privilege later, but you haven't earned that, right? You got to earn it. So anyway, I just wanted to caveat what some of those things look like.
Well, it's a really good point that if you're setting a boundary and you say no, whether you're the man or the woman, and the other person continually violates it or gets mad or then disappears, you have your answer.
Yeah.
So yay.
Yeah.
Let it go and move on, because you instead of thinking, oh, they're so horrible. Okay, well, they may or may not be, but you kept your boundary, and you should be happy and be like, yeah, I did it. And now the next one will be better.
Yeah. What you just said, it takes practice. Like it takes real, especially as a narcissist. We're going to be like dating a narcissist, and we're coming out of like, we have a little bit of knee-jerk reactions. We're like, oh my God, we're dating a narcissist. No. Like, you can handle a narcissist. You just have to believe that, like, hey, I know how to I know where my sense of self is. That's probably the biggest thing. Like, we know who we are, where I end and where they begin, right? A lot of times we just kind of go, wow. And especially when we're young, we don't know. We're like, oh, we're going to be married and like do all these things. And, even in marriage, we have to learn to respect our boundaries. Like, Dale, my husband, he's he's a serious night owl, right? Like serious night owl. I am a morning person, right? Like, so we somehow hang out eventually together throughout the day. But like, I don't bother him in the morning, right? Like, I know that, like, now he's never said like, don't come to me in the middle of the day, while I'm sleeping or whatever, but there's a certain level of respect.
Yeah.
That's his space at night. That's his space. I'm not going to ask him anything. And sometimes when I'm getting ready in the morning, I have a long ramp up for my days. Like, I like to journal and have my coffee and walk the dogs and this whole thing. And sometimes he'll get up and it's really weird. He'll get up at like 7 a.m. And I'm like, what are you doing here? And he's like, sometimes he'll be like, I'm not supposed to be here. I'm going back to bed. I'm upset. He's encroached on my boundaries, but we have such a great respect for our spaces, right? And sometimes he gets thrown off if I'm staying up till midnight, because that's like, wait, he's supposed to be watching his, he has this whole setup that he does for 3 hours as I'm going to bed. So it's really funny. But even as married people, we have our natural spaces, because sometimes we think, oh my God, we're going to be together all the time. We're just going to love each other and stuff. And other things happen. So that's a whole nother world. But it's still like, we still have our spaces, right? Where we get to love and respect each other. And I think sometimes when we think about narcissists, it's really learning to love ourselves. And I don't want to go from like self-love, but it's just learning to honor what we're up for and defining what it is. A lot of times we don't know when something's been violated. It's usually a feeling we get. We call it intuition or whatever, and we don't know how to voice it. The sooner you can voice what it is that you don't want or you do want, the better the relationship will be, right? Sometimes when you define the thing that's bugging you, or that you're like, oh wait, I wasn't ready for you to meet my daughter, or like, because we have a lot of kids with us. It might be that you just didn't know it until it happened. It's not that he crossed the boundary. It might just be that, oh, I didn't know that I still had that barrier up. And you can have a conversation with your person and say, hey, it turned out I was not ready for that thing that we just did. I just need to backtrack, just letting you know.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's not even, just defining it and be like, we'll revisit that in 3 months or 6 months.
And then to go one step further, their reaction to that boundary tells you a lot. If they don't like it, or they keep pushing, or they get angry, you've got an answer there, and you can say, I'm not your person. And just leave it behind, because if they do that when you're dating, when they're supposedly on their best behavior, you can think to yourself, do I want to be married to this person who's pushing me all the time?
Yeah.
So in terms of like true narcissists who are, who can do that.
Yeah.
So, but right now we're going to take a quick break and then we're going to play a little bit with Leandra. So stay tuned, right? We'll be right back.
Why do 98% of beauty enthusiasts rave about coolness? It's all in the blend of ancient wisdom and modern science. Introducing Coolness, Pearlescent Face and Eye Serum Cream. This powerhouse combines the antioxidative power of schisandra berries, the glow of pearl powder, and the hydrating wonders of dragon's blood extract. It's like a time machine for your skin, making it radiant, firm, and oh so smooth. Inspired by ancient Chinese traditions and backed by modern nutritional science, this serum cream is perfect for dry, mature, and aging skin. It's time to unlock your inner glow with Coolness. Treat your skin to the best of both worlds today.
Everything we're made of contains light. From the sun that feeds our world to the energy that flows within us. With LifeWave X39, we've found a way to put that light to work. With X39, we achieved something remarkable in the field of wellness and science that others could not. By utilizing LifeWave's unique patented technology, X39 uses light to elevate GHK-Cu, a copper peptide known to support overall health and wellness. Unlike traditional light therapy, X39 uses the body's own infrared light to naturally increase vitality. By gently stimulating the skin with light, our non-invasive, non-transdermal X39 patches help you conquer your active lifestyle and pave a new way to vibrant health. Becoming a powerhouse is easier than you think. It all starts with your body and a little help from light. Place one LifeWave X39 patch on the body. Apply the patch to clean, dry skin in the morning. Patches may be worn for up to 12 hours before discarding. Keep well hydrated while using this product. Harness your natural potential. Reclaim youthful energy. Live long, live well, live young with LifeWave X39. Be the light. LifeWave.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Chronic Health Collective. I'm Kristy Boyd Johnson. I'm here with Leandra Frey, a life and dating coach who is amazing. And we're talking about dating after narcissism. So, Leandra, we kind of touched on, like, if warning signs are making you feel uncomfortable, you can always just say, thank you, goodbye. But there's another side of dating after narcissism that happens to a lot of people, and that is with the codependent type, that we are, it's so conditioned in us that we need, the drama feels normal, that when we meet a nice normal person, whether it's male or female, it doesn't matter, it feels boring or dull. Because we're conditioned to that, the high drama that narcs create in our lives. Yeah. So how do we tell the difference between, I'm not connecting with this person and you're overreacting to the dopamine?
That's a good question. And I mean, that goes into a lot of strategies that I use in dating, because there's a lot of women that come out of like, oh my gosh, she's a narcissist, this is what he wants. And then they're like, what do I do? And then they don't like the safe. They finally meet someone that is like safe, like, not a narcissist. And it comes off as boring. Right. And it's like, and it's the age old question, like the bad boy, right? Like we always think of, or at least me in the age group that I grew up in, was Crybaby from Johnny Depp, right? Johnny Depp was like, back then was just like, I don't know, he's crazy now in my mind. And I have to go like, oh, the elusive, mysterious, guy that only shows up when he wants and, you know, acts all jealous when we're with another guy or something, right? And then we think that's love, and I don't know, that's like terrible. But those are forms of narcissism. Right? Now when I look at those movies, I'm like, what the heck? What's just? But yeah, so I think part of the strategies I have when you're first going out into the dating world is dating multiple people at the same time, which means that we tend to date one-on-one or one-to-one. Or no, let me think. One at a time. That's the word. One at a time. And we start dating one person, and which is not a bad thing, but we kind of lose a lot of time if we end up like, let's say we start liking the guy and then they don't like us back. And that took, you know, especially if we're dating after, you know, a certain age, we don't have a lot of time because our lives are very full. Like when we were in 20s, we just went to work and then we dated or had fun, right? But as you're grown up, we have full lives. So part of the thing is that we need to be dating multiple people. And I say like maybe 3 or 4 at a time. And most people don't like that, but then, hey, these are the things that have been quite successful for some of the people I work with. And also for myself, is because we need to really see all sides of people, right? And when we're focused on one person who may or may not be a narcissist, we tend to just put all our eggs in one basket, right? There's a lot of stock that goes in there. And then we're putting a lot of energy on there versus if we're talking to another person, we have a little bit more, little sense of self, right? Then we can be like, oh, this guy has this value. This girl has this value. Let's keep playing it out versus putting all our stock and energy in someone. So if, like, you know, if we're being let down by maybe someone that has narcissistic tendencies, we can see it a little bit better because we're not just hinging on them, right? Then we're dating. What's it like when we're dating a really nice guy, right? You can actually see the differences in them from a vantage point versus when we're just in it and we're just focused on one person. When you can see like, oh, I like it that this guy did this or this guy did this. I mean, I had one of my clients that really had great success she wasn't sleeping with them. Let me be clear on this. But I think she was dating 3 guys at once for a good 4 to 6 months. Well, that would blow someone's mind. But she was like taking her time, seeing what they were about. Like, okay, this guy, he didn't run into. Sorry, there's an echo. Let me see if that. Can you hear me?
I think it stopped. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that was like, yeah. So I think part of that will help if you're not just focused on one person. But eventually you do, you know, after you decide. Now, eventually she decided, like, okay, I'm going to see what it's, you know, I'm going to decide to just see this one person and let the other 2 go. And it was still a hard decision. She liked them all. Most of the time we don't like someone who's dating, but they were so different and gave different values. They were, you know, it was really quite incredible. And I'm like, I wish more people would have that experience, but they don't give themselves that time and space to be like, hey, let's explore this. We date one person. We're like, I think he likes me. I think he likes me. And I'm like, let's see if you like him. And, you know, you can date other people. Yeah. You can see other people.
And what you said about values, I mean, pick the one that the long-term values match, because maybe they have a value for right now, but is that a long-term? You know, that's an important question.
Yeah, there was, I mean, and that's good. I mean, a lot of times that comes out like values, that comes down to station of life. But when it comes to like narcissism, again, we're not going to see that right away.
Right.
So that's why you need the time and space to be like, you know, while you're maybe dating a nice guy and then you're dating a guy who's also nice, a little bit flashier, because usually there's a little bit more, I'm going to love bomb you. You can see what steady looks like versus when someone is ghosting you, right? And it's really great when you can see what steadiness is. And I remember when I first started dating Dale, my husband now, I just remember I was like, because I was very similar to that reaction. Not that I had dated a narcissist or anything, but like, I just remember his steadiness was new to me, right? He was just so consistent, so steady, just so like, does that exist? And I remember I was like alarmed by it because it was such a new space, right? I'm used to like someone, waiting a week to call me again for the next date and maybe 2 weeks, or like, oh, I found someone better. It's just always the thing. I remember asking my friend, I'm like, I don't know, this feels strange. And she's like, it should feel normal. That's what you want. But our brain and our culture definitely does not preach that, right? We preach about, there's another girl in the picture, there's ghosting, there's like, and in this case, we won't show it, especially if you're dating older. You're competing with grandkids and careers, but you still, even if you're competing with careers, because I had this happen with another client she was retired, the guy was working, and she was competing against his career. Mm-hmm. Right. And I was like, well, that's a station of life. He wasn't necessarily a narcissist, but I was like, no, we're looking for someone who's consistent, that wants to see you and is serious about dating, serious about getting to know you. It's fine if he's seeing other people, but it's okay. There's still some consistency, even when you're trying to figure out who you want to see. Right. So I don't know if that helps answer some of your questions, but so those are some of the strategies. It helps to get some altitude, if you will, when you're dating, because sometimes when we're just like one to one at a time, mm-hmm. if the heart is broken and he doesn't like you or you get ghosted, it sucks. But if you're like, hey, there's this other guy that's been there, steady as can be, and steady for us is boring, right? We like the highs and lows, and you have to be onto yourself to say that didn't work for you in the past.
No.
Yeah. And you said something very similar, long term. What does this look like in 5 years? What does this look like in 10 years? Mm-hmm. Right. Those are your questions. When we were even looking at this one guy that traveled all the time, I had one client. He wasn't a narcissist, but he traveled, one of those people that traveled like 2 weeks at a time. Mm-hmm. And she's like, yeah, she goes like this. If you find yourself saying, I could make it work, right? Like you find yourself like sing-songing it. I'm like, it's so funny. I was like, no, that is not what you want. I remember she said, I want someone that I can take with me to my family functions. Mm-hmm. I was like, this guy is going to be gone 2 weeks every month. That means he's only around for 24 weeks, mm-hmm. right? 25 weeks in a given 1 year. And then we don't even know if those 2 weeks are available to you.
Right.
Right. Like, what kind of life is that? But then we start fantasizing about things that are going to work. You have to long-term it. Like you have to, people that get into long distance relationships kind of do the same thing where they're like, well, and if you find yourself saying, well, maybe, then,
it work.
Yeah. Those are like, oh, you better have a good friend, a coach, or someone that's like, let's really remember what you're about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've heard that, the thing about, if you're thinking, oh, I can see this potential in him, he'll change, forget that is never going to happen. Take him at face value.
Yeah. If you say I am dating, like if you're dating someone's potential, then you're like, that person is out.
That's out.
Because then you'll be fighting the upstream battle for the rest of your life. Yeah.
And not only that, but then you're in this mode of trying to change somebody instead of working on yourself.
Yeah.
And that never works.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. With the amount of time that we try to do it, it's like, oh, well, and then you marry him and then you still pray that he'll change.
Yeah. And
you're like, well, I just give it. And I come from a Christian background. So it's like, I'll just pray to God that he changes. I'm like, oh, no. So the book that I love, and I've mentioned it before in this podcast, is The Let Them Theory. Does a great job. And by Mel Robbins, that really talks about how to accept someone, right? Accept them as they are. And then, then you decide, right? It might be they're not the right person, mm-hmm. right? But also if you're already in the relationship, marriages, right? Learning to accept our husbands as they are, because a lot of times if we're dating married, if we're thinking our husband should be here and we're here, that is a dangerous place to be versus like, hey, we made this commitment and what does it look like to accept them? I mean, there's such things as, yeah, okay, we need to end the relationship, but there's some things where it's like just our brain, like, okay, what does it look like when we really accept who they are? But if you're dating, you have a chance, right? Then you're like, not my person.
Right. And then, yes. And, someone can be, everybody has their quirks. Everyone has their issues that we're dealing with, that we're working on. The question is, a narc, generally speaking, a narc will not take any accountability for themselves. They blame. So if you're taking all the blame and trying to make everything right, there's something wrong there.
Yeah.
But if it's an equal partnership, he takes care of his, she takes care of hers, or whatever combination of, and you work together. It's a partnership, not a battleground or a roller coaster. And it doesn't have to be this insane drama and this insane,
Yeah, it's tough, like, because especially if you've been in the pattern, and a lot of people, we're used to it when we're kids. Some of it, and some of the work of like people who are dealing with narcissists, we might have to do some real therapy, like to figure out if there was stuff that happened in their past, to break the pattern. But sometimes if you already know that you have the pattern, like, oh, I like this high drama thing, then be onto yourself and then learn to start honoring your word, right? Honoring who you are, and also be willing to make things uncomfortable, which the part where narcissists exist is when we're like, oh, I better walk on eggshells and not say the thing that I want to do because I'm afraid there'll be fear, right? We're fear of the anger. Let them be angry. All right, you're going to yell. Great. Okay, keep yelling. All right, cool. All right, you done? Okay, great. Or I don't like the yelling, I'm out. But then being prepared that, hey, and some people, it's not necessarily about that. Sometimes they're going to be disappointed. People are allowed to have their feelings. We cannot manage people's disappointments. Right. And so that's okay. That's not necessarily a boundary violation or anything. You say no, they're going to be sad, whatever. That's okay. Let them be sad.
So I hate to interrupt you, but our time is up. So how can people find you out in the world, Leandra?
You can find me. Yeah, thank you. This has been great. I could talk forever. Leandra Frey Coaching, Frey, or Instagram Frey Coaching, or Facebook Leandra Frey, Frey. Anything with my name, you'll find my website or my Facebook. But I'm happy to just chat and help you on your journey.
That's awesome. And she's fabulous. I highly recommend her. You'll probably help her get straightened out. And I'm Kristy Boyd Johnson. You can find me at narcdetoxclub.com or email me at narcdetoxclub@gmail.com. And so that is it for today. If this episode spoke to you, please don't go it alone. Book your free consult with one of our expert coaches like Leandra at the chronichealthcollective.com for personalized support. Subscribe to our monthly magazine for expert tips from all 11 coaches to elevate your health, mindset, and relationships. Catch us live every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central Time, or watch past episodes anytime on E360 TV or YouTube at the Chronic Health Collective. Thanks for tuning in. Your transformation starts now. See you next week.